The tools for achieving your wellness goals are right outside your door. You just have to know where to look, and I'm here to help. I'm Missy, an East Texas Christian herbalist, here to share conversations about local plants, where to find them and what to do with them, local vendors, the area's top sources for natural health products, and local practitioners, the professionals you can trust to get to the root of whatever you face. Whether you're here to learn, connect, or live more in step with the land, you're in the right place. Welcome.
Hello, today I have two special guests. Let me introduce Crystal Branch from Growing Branches Farm and Angie Gillette from Gillette Farmstead. Hello, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you.
Super to talk to you. Crystal and Angie together run the Lindale and Tyler REKO Ring, a really awesome resource for fresh local food from East Texas farms and makers. And we're going to get into that in a minute. But first, I'd like to hear just a little bit about each of you about how you got started farming and what you produce.
Well, we started selling to customers in 2019. We started as a market farm. We were growing vegetables, and it's really difficult to grow organic vegetables in East Texas with the pests and everything. And I'm also a mother of four, and I homeschool, and the workload became too much for me because I did most of the work myself. And so we kind of switched and leaned into microgreens because they were selling very well for us. And then we'd been raising our own chicken for years and decided to start selling it to customers. And we started doing that in 2023. And so now we do microgreens, pastured poultry, and pasture-raised pork and rabbit. That's all the things that we produce.
That sounds a lot. What about you, Angie?
Yeah, so for us, we lived in the city a long time in Fort Worth, and after my husband went through testicular cancer in 2019, and he's 6 years, cancer-free this year, thankfully. But, after going through chemo and all those things, he ended up being type 2 diabetic as well as a result of that. So that's kind of where we made the shift into what we're eating, how it's grown, how it's made. And I started my journey to learn how to make sourdough so he can still enjoy a sandwich, but it's not spiking his insulin, and it's not full of just, chemicals and preservatives. And so we're entering year 3 of doing full market season of all the things sourdough. And he's actually started a market garden as well, where we'll be growing salad mix, carrots, tomatoes, spinach, radishes this year. And we've done laying hens as well. We've kind of taken a break from that after we had some predator issues, but at some point we'll get our egg production back up and running.
So tell me, what's a REKO ring?
Well, a REKO Ring is like a farmer's market and an online market kind of made a baby. So you still, it's Facebook based. So you go on Facebook and you order in the comment section. And then we have a single drop once a week where everybody shows up and picks up all their products. And the wonderful thing about this is that you still get to meet the farmers. You still get to get that face-to-face interaction of a farmer's market with the people who are actually growing your food. And, because it's important to be able to see these people, look them in the face, shake their hand, and ask them the questions that we all want to ask. What are your growing practices? What do you, how do I cook this? Because a lot of people, surprisingly, don't know how to cook. So.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add to that is it keeps things really simple. It cuts down waste, where we don't have to guess how much to bring to a market. Since it's all a pre-order base, it really helps cut down that food waste. And then it's direct to consumer. So, it helps support small farms that way because it really helps keep our costs down as a small business.
Okay, so we'll look at step by step how people would maybe get into the process later, but is it correct to summarize in saying basically people go on Facebook and they look to see if there's anything they want, and then they message the seller with what they want, and then they pick all of their things up in one central location at a certain time when they can talk to the person? Is that right?
Yeah. So every week in the Facebook group, all of our producers that are available that week will post everything they have available. And in the comment section of each individual post is where you would make your order, and then you pay that farmer directly. So it's gonna have multiple payments, but everything is just picked up at the same spot. Does that make sense?
So if I'm buying microgreens from you, I message you on that same Facebook page and I pay you. And then if I want sourdough from Angie, I can do the same thing and I pick them all up in the same place.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not like messaging, it's just comments in the private group. It's just for REKO Ring orders.
If people aren't in the Tyler area, are there more REKO rings?
REKO rings have popped up all over East Texas in the last 4 years. Tyler was the first one. It was started by Jeannie. I forgot her last name. She owns the East Texas Culture Restaurant now, but she was the founder. She's the one who started it. Then Stephanie Shelton has been running it for the last almost 4 years before she just recently handed it off to Angie and I.
So what led the two of you to get involved with it?
Jeannie asked me. So actually, we were pretty new to microgreens and we needed outlets. And I was like overwhelmed trying to figure that out. And Jeannie found us on Facebook and she was like, "Hey, I'm doing this new thing. You want to do it?" And I was nervous out of my mind. It's really hard to put yourself out there. And then we've been there since the very first one 4 years ago.
Yeah, so for us, REKO rings are new last year. We started in Lindale. Really, there's a lot of bakers out there, and I had got on the waiting list before I ever did a farmer's market. But it was our time, and a baker had left, and we were given the opportunity. We had a lot of customers. They were asking, why aren't you in the REKO ring? Why aren't you in Lindale? Things like that. And so once we had that opportunity, we took it, and then the need to have somebody doing sourdough in Tyler opened, and so now we're in both. The real, I couldn't do Tyler we're in 2026 now. So in 2024, I couldn't do Tyler because I was at the market every single Saturday. So I didn't have a way to be in two places at once because we have two toddlers.
When I'm evaluating food, when I'm deciding what to buy, there are so many labels. There's pasture raised and grass fed and organic and more than that, I know. So how do I know what's really important? How do I know what to look for when I'm buying from somebody at a farmer's market or through the REKO ring? What should I look for?
I think that depends on your personal belief system and preferences. It's important to understand and know the difference. Like with beef, grass finished means the cow only ate grass its entire life. It was never supplemented with grain. Grain finished means that it could mean a couple of things. It could mean the cow has had a little bit of grain its whole life, or it could mean that the grain was fed the last 3 or 4 weeks, or 4 to 8 weeks to finish it out. You'd have to ask the farmer their individual practices on that one. Grass finished beef tends to have healthier fats and less cholesterol issues. And when it comes to organic versus natural versus all of those things, you just have to talk to the farmer. I don't know a single farmer that would just outright lie to you, because when you're looking someone in the face, it's a lot harder to lie. But most of our farmers do everything they can to restore land. We do everything regeneratively. We're trying to restore the pasture land. You know, we put our chickens there and we rotate them, and the goal is in the end for it to be better than when we got there. And you know, we're not organic, but we try to feed our animals the best that we can and still be able to make a profit. So we use non-GMO feed from Rasaka Sun, which is a great company. They try to use organic practices, and they don't get the organic label because they want to keep the price low for consumers, for us farmers who, you know, we're raking in the dough.
Yeah. I would add to that, you know, like a lot of it's like, you know, are you at a farmer's market and it's February and they have summer squash out and tomatoes and things like that? You want to really look for what is in season. You know, springtime is really big for strawberries. That's when they're going to taste the best and have the most nutrients. You know, when shopping, really just look for, you know, clean ingredients if it's something that is processed. And then, like Crystal said, farmers, you can ask them how they grow it. They should be able to tell you. And if they can't, they probably didn't grow it. You know, things that look real. Every egg shouldn't be uniform. You know, everything's not going to look identical. And that's how you can tell that it's naturally grown and going to be as close to organic as you can get. You know, Crystal and I both have the same view of this. I'd rather buy local than go into the grocery store and buy something that says it's organic.
That makes sense. So I'm hearing, talk to the farmer when you're trying to evaluate, look for stuff that's seasonal. And if it's not seasonal, then ask more questions. And that perfection in the thing is not always what you're going for, because uniformity and perfection kind of sometimes require additional methods that affect the nutrients and all the things about the food. Is that about it?
Yeah. You know, when it comes to products that are perfect and uniform, those large companies have different outlets. They have places to send the ugly fruit. And for farmers, we usually eat the ugly stuff ourselves. But when it comes to imperfections, that doesn't mean less nutrients. And, you know, we need to use everything. You know, with our chickens, we use the bones. We use, if we do cuts, we make broth. You know, we try to utilize as much of the product as we possibly can.
Yeah, they got to use the whole bird, not just chicken breasts.
When I've worked with clients and they have all these symptoms and it's like their whole system is just on the fritz, and sometimes it's not just one thing. You guys have mentioned type 2 diabetes and cancer and cholesterol. And I think that we're kind of like boats. We can handle leaks here and there, a few small ones. And as long as we don't take on too much water, we can stay afloat. But when you have a lot of leaks and it's pouring down rain and the waves are coming over the side and you have to find ways to slow down the water that's coming in, or you'll sink. And if you can't stop the rain or the waves, sometimes you can plug enough holes here and there and maybe run the pumps. And with our bodies, there's all this stress and environmental toxins. And every time you look at the news, they've discovered that something else you use or eat is bad for you. And to me, one of the biggest benefits of eating clean food is you eliminate some of the junk that's coming in. You make it where your boat's not getting full as quickly, the pesticides and the synthetic hormones and the antibiotics. And you have greater nutrient density too with that imperfect food that's raised the way it should be, and seasonally more omega-3s and antioxidants and vitamins. So not only are you not having as much water coming in, you're putting good things in to kind of help shore things up. So that's kind of the way I see it. Tell me, how does buying locally grown and raised support the community?
Well, when you're buying local, your dollars stay local. You're helping the farmer pay their mortgage, or kids do extracurricular activities, piano lessons, you know, be able to take a small vacation when it's not prime growing season or prime market season. It allows the small business to be able to expand and, you know, and take on a new adventure, or be able to buy more chickens to provide more pasture-raised meats to markets, or when new opportunities arise, they can actually say yes because more people are choosing to buy local. local land, local lands stay in production instead of being developed. And beyond money, you build the relationships, who grew your carrots, who baked your bread. It just really creates resilience in the community. And when supply chains get tight, the local food systems, we can keep feeding our people. And that's what really matters. And the community you build is amazing.
Absolutely. We saw that during COVID when the supply chains all had that major hiccup. Who did the people lean into? They leaned into the local farmers, because guess who didn't have supply chain hiccups? They were still there because we didn't depend on trucks. We didn't depend on warehouses and stuff to get things moving. We were here. We had a huge influx of customers that year, and that's just good. It made, like she said, she mentioned resilience. Everybody was still able to find their beef, even though the shelves were empty at the store. They were still able to find chicken because those local farmers were still there, and we always are. Doesn't matter where you live, you'll find people who are passionate about growing their own food.
It was a scary time, and I think it woke a lot of people up to the need for local connections that are food related, big time. One of you mentioned expense. Why is locally grown and raised food more expensive?
Because it's real. Small farms don't have massive subsidies. We're not buying ingredients by the semi-truckload. We're paying fair wages, buying quality ingredients. We're doing things by hand, the old school way. We're not able to mass produce items, but mass production also cuts corners. Local food reflects our true costs: time, labor, quality ingredients, small batches. It's just, we all really try to keep our prices fair and honest. And for us, we're not in this, farmers aren't in it to get rich. We're in it to feed our community.
I think another reason, adding to what Angie said, is that big corporations have an outlet for anything that's less than desirable. For example, as a chicken farmer, I saw, like, I don't have a use for feathers, but larger corporations do. They make feather meal out of it for fertilizer. They have lots of purposes for different things, and they can utilize every little tiny thing. The downside to that is that you're getting a subpar product. As a chicken farmer, we sell a lot of breasts. People love chicken breasts. But we still have to sell the thighs. We still have to sell the tenderloins. We still have to sell the drumsticks and the wings. And unfortunately, those things, drumsticks and wings specifically, are very hard to move. I'd also argue that local food is only slightly more expensive than the grocery store. I know when you walk in and you see a bird for 99 cents a pound, when you compare it to, our prices of $6.50 a pound, it's kind of like sticker shock. But if you if you just buy the breasts at the store, you're spending what, $2.99 a pound. And then, but if you get a whole bird and you cut it up and you use the bones to make broth, you're not spending, $5-6 on a quart of broth when you using the carcasses that you have, and you can make, 3 or 4 quarts out of the same bird. When you put in a little bit of sweat equity into your food, then you end up lowering the price greatly instead of the convenience of just buying it at the grocery store.
Talk to me about taste. How does what I pick up at the grocery store, how is that going to differ from what I buy from one of you?
When food is grown in healthy soil, it's harvested at the right time. Every vegetable you buy at the store is picked early because they have to ship it across the country. You're going to have a fuller taste. It's going to be sweeter. It's going to be rich. You can absolutely taste the difference in a locally grown strawberry. The one that traveled 1,500 miles and that you buy at Walmart that's off season. The same thing goes with flour. Like, we use heritage grains, so it's not modified, non-GMO. and you can taste the difference in our bread. So, and really for me, with things that are grown, it really starts with the soil. And even, chickens that have access to grass and sunlight, and they get extra scraps, and there's it really starts with the ground that they're on.
I'd argue that everything starts with dirt. It starts with the soil. Chickens, pork, everything, cattle, veggies, everything starts with healthy soil. And I think with smaller operations, it's a lot easier to be conscious of your soil health and everything it needs to be everything that your animal needs. We run our chickens on pasture land, and as they move, it's greener and it's healthier than it was before, because the natural systems in our ecosystem were made to work together. Whenever you grow one crop on one piece of land, they're stripping the nutrients that only that plant needs, versus mixing carrots with tomatoes and basil and all of these things. They're all taking different things and balancing the uptake that they remove from our soil. So some things add what other plants need, and it's this nice balance of beneficial balance for our ecosystems.
Kind of a layering effect, literally healthier from the ground up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's pretend I'm just now for the very first time hearing of the Tyler Lindale REKO Ring, and I want to check it out. Can you talk me through like specifics of how I would find you and what would be my next steps after that?
So we have a business page, and the business page has a link to a private group. You ask to join. Angie and I are really quick to approve you. So basically within minutes, you'll be approved. As long as you answer the questions. We just want an email address and know where you are, so we can make sure that we're keeping any spammers out, and we keep the local people in the group. Once you join the group, then you're ready to shop. You can scroll through. We post in Tyler every Sunday and in Lindale every Wednesday, and you can order throughout that next week, and then pick up in Tyler's every Saturday, and in Lindale it's every Tuesday.
Yeah, like this evening or tomorrow evening is our Lindale pickup. Today I'll be making those orders. But if you're not sure what to buy, you just make one small change. You don't have to overhaul your entire pantry, in one farmer's market trip. Start with a dozen of eggs, one bag of seasonal produce, and a loaf of sourdough. Grab some microgreens to throw in on top of a pizza you're going to make. It doesn't have to be this huge task. It can be just really simple, one change that is going to help everybody.
So I go to the Facebook page and I join the group, and then you all add me to the group, and then I see everything on the private Facebook page and message people from there.
Yeah, you just comment under their post. So you'll see they have a list of items. And a lot of people will have pictures of their products, or it's all a little bit differently. Everybody does things a little differently. But then in the comment section, say, hey, I want a pack of wings. And I'll be like, sure, your total is, and you can pay us. Venmo is probably the most common one used, but you can also request invoices from just about every single one of our producers. PayPal, sometimes Cash App is used as well.
Can you describe pickup for me? What does that look like?
So pickup is pretty simple. All of the producers show up. We line up our vehicles in an open parking lot, and the customers just walk up to them and say, hey, honestly, if you just walked in and say, "Hi, my name is so and so," everybody will like rush to bring you your products. It happens all the time. If you do have any kind of limitations, like it's difficult to get out of your car and do the walking, send me or Angie a message and we'll be happy to accommodate you. We will bring your products to your car. If you just pull up, we'll put them in the vehicle for you.
Same thing for bad weather. Like if it happens to be raining, we usually have a canopy up where all the farmers are under, or like when we picked up during really cold temperatures in the morning, but the roads were still fine. John, Crystal's husband, brought a heater for everybody. So, you know, it's really rare that we don't have a REKO pickup. So we're out there no matter what. That's our commitment as well to the consumer and our local community. So, you know, if there's something that you need help with, they just got to ask. But everyone's really helpful. Hey, who are you looking for? What can I help you with? Things like that.
And if people get stuck somewhere in the process, what should they do?
If you are unable to make pickup, it's best to contact the individual producers for whatever products you're using. Some products cannot be replaced, like cannot be rolled over to the next week because it's like fresh produce. It would be a loss for one of the producers for like, say, a bag of lettuce. That's not going to hold over a week. And they already picked it for you, so they may not be able to roll that over, but beef, chicken, anything that's like frozen or lasts a long time can easily be rolled over, and most producers are happy to do it. There is a rule that if you don't show up that you forfeit it, but I think most producers, especially for new people, are pretty flexible. We leave that up to the producers to decide what's best for their business.
Yeah, I mean, like I have people who forget orders, and a lot of times if it's market season, I'll just take it right to our closest farmers market and let them know, hey, we're there until noon or 1 o'clock. Come pick it up there. Or they'll be like, hey, you know what? I 100% forgot I ordered this week. Just bless somebody else with it.
It's nice.
I also, I offer farm pickup. So if they forget, they can always come up to the farm and pick it up there.
Well, I really appreciate you both being here today to tell people about local options for healthier food. And if you're listening, remember that the tools for better health are right outside your door. You just have to know where to look. And the Grace Rooted Wellness podcast is committed to spotlighting some of the best options in the area. So if you're not doing it already, why not follow the show? Thanks for being here. See you next time.